Today's video is going to change the way you see failure forever. What if I told you that the people who win in life are not the smartest, not the luckiest, and not the most talented? What if I told you that the real winners are the people who failed the most but never quit? Failure is something everyone fears. People run from it. People hide from it. People feel ashamed of it. But failure is not your enemy. Failure is your greatest teacher. This video is not about how to avoid failure. This video is about how to use failure to build a stronger mind, a calmer heart, and a powerful future. If you have ever failed in exams, business, relationships, confidence, discipline, or life itself, this message is for you. Stay with me till the end, because what you learn today can change how you see yourself forever. Part 1. Why failure hurts so much. Failure hurts because from a very young age, we are trained to fear it. We grow up in a world that celebrates only success. In school, good marks mean you are intelligent. Trophies mean you are special. Praise means you matter. Slowly, without realizing it, we learn a dangerous lesson. Our value depends on our results. Nobody teaches us how to fail with dignity. Nobody teaches us how to lose and still respect ourselves. So when failure comes, it feels shocking, painful, and personal. As children, we are rewarded when we win and corrected when we lose. Over time, this creates a deep belief inside us. We start thinking that success makes us worthy and failure makes us weak. Winning feels like love. Losing feels like rejection. This is why failure hurts more than just missing a goal. It feels like losing respect, losing identity, and losing self-worth. Failure does not just say you didn't succeed. It says you are not enough. And that message is heavy. When we fail, the pain does not stay outside. It goes deep into the mind. Failure attacks our identity. It whispers quietly but clearly, "You are not good enough." It compares us to others and says, "Look at them. They are ahead of you." It makes us replay our mistakes again and again, especially at night when everything is silent. That is why failure keeps people awake. That is why it feels heavy on the chest. That is why many people quit without even trying again. Failure also hurts because society is unforgiving. People judge quickly. They label easily. One failure can make others doubt you, and slowly you start doubting yourself too. The fear of being judged, laughed at, or ignored makes failure feel dangerous. It feels like proof that all your fears were right. This emotional pain is often stronger than physical pain because it touches your self-respect. But here's the truth most people never learn, and this truth can change your life. Failure is not a message about who you are. Failure is not your identity. Failure is information. It is feedback. It only tells you what did not work, not what you are worth. Once you understand this, something powerful happens. Failure stops controlling you. It stops defining you. You begin to separate your value from your results. And when that happens, failure still hurts, but it no longer breaks you. Part 2. Failure is feedback, not a final result. Failure is feedback, even though most people treat it like a final judgment. When something fails, it feels personal, as if life itself has rejected you. But failure is not saying you failed. It is only saying that something you did not work. This difference is small in words, but powerful in meaning. When you understand this, failure stops feeling like an ending and starts feeling like a lesson. If a plan fails, it does not mean you are useless. It means your method was wrong. If an opportunity slips away, it does not mean you are incapable. It means the timing was not right. If your goal feels far away, it does not mean you should quit. It means your strategy needs change. Failure never attacks your value as a human being. It only points at the approach you used. Sadly, most people confuse the two and punish themselves instead of improving their methods. Think about a child learning to walk. The child falls again and again, sometimes hard, sometimes gently. But the child never says, "Walking is not for me." The child never feels ashamed of falling. Falling is part of learning. Each fall teaches balance. Each mistake teaches coordination. The child learns because the child is not afraid of feedback. The body learns from every failure without judgment. But as adults, we forget this natural wisdom. We fail once and start creating stories in our minds. We say, "I'm not made for this." We say, "Others are lucky, not me." We say, "Maybe I should stop before I embarrass myself." Instead of learning, we label ourselves. Instead of adjusting, we quit. This is not because adults fail more. It is because adults take failure personally. The difference between winners and quitters is simple but deep. Winners listen to failure. Quitters obey failure. Winners treat failure like a teacher. Quitters treat failure like a judge. One group asks questions. The other accepts defeat. Winners stay curious. Quitters stay emotional. To learn from failure, you must ask better questions. Not "Why am I like this?" but "What did this failure teach me?" Not "Why do I always fail?" but "What mistake did I repeat?" Not "Should I quit?" but "What can I do differently next time?" These questions turn pain into progress. They shift your focus from self-blame to self-improvement. Failure always answers honestly. It does not flatter you. It does not lie to protect your ego. It shows you the weak points so you can strengthen them. When you listen carefully, failure becomes guidance. And when you use that guidance, failure stops being a wall and becomes a step forward. Part 3. The silent power hidden inside failure. Failure carries a quiet power that most people never notice. It does not shout. It does not announce its lessons loudly. Instead, it works silently, shaping your character from the inside. Failure humbles you in ways success never can. Success often makes people proud. It can create ego and false confidence. Failure, on the other hand, brings you back to reality. It strips away illusion and forces you to see yourself clearly. When you fail, you naturally become more careful. You stop rushing. You start thinking before acting. You become more patient with results and more respectful of the process. Failure teaches you to slow down and pay attention. It shows you where you were careless, where you overestimated yourself, and where you ignored important details. This awareness is painful at first, but it is also the beginning of wisdom. Failure also makes you aware of your weaknesses. Success hides weaknesses because everything seems to work. Failure exposes them because something breaks. It shows you where your discipline is weak, where your focus is unstable, and where your mindset needs growth. This exposure hurts the ego, but it strengthens the character. Failure removes ego gently but firmly. It teaches humility by reminding you that growth is always needed. Many people you admire today were once very different. Many strong people were once broken by life. Many confident people were once full of fear and doubt. Many disciplined people were once lazy, distracted, and inconsistent. What changed them was not comfort. It was failure. Failure pushed them to reflect, to improve, and to rise again with greater awareness. Their strength was not natural. It was built through struggle. Without failure, character stays weak. Without resistance, muscles do not grow. In the same way, without struggle, inner strength remains hidden. Failure creates pressure, and pressure reveals potential. It tests your patience. It tests your values. It tests your commitment. Through these tests, you discover who you truly are and who you can become. Failure is painful, and pain is never comfortable. But pain often marks the entrance to transformation. Pain wakes you up. It forces change. It demands growth. If you listen to failure instead of running from it, it becomes a powerful teacher. It turns mistakes into maturity and weakness into wisdom. In this way, failure does not destroy you. It quietly builds the strongest version of you from the inside out. Part 4. Why most people never learn from failure. Most people experience failure at some point in their lives. It is common. It is unavoidable. Everyone fails in studies, careers, relationships, health, or personal goals. But while failure is common, learning from failure is rare. Very few people truly grow because of their failures. The question is not why people fail, but why people do not learn from failure. The main reason is honesty. Learning from failure requires brutal honesty with yourself, and most people avoid that. It is easier to blame others than to face uncomfortable truths. People blame their parents, their teachers, their boss, society, the system, or bad luck. Blaming gives temporary relief. It protects the ego. It allows you to feel like a victim instead of a learner. In the short term, blaming feels good because it removes responsibility. But in the long term, it steals growth. Learning feels uncomfortable because it forces you to look inward. It forces you to admit mistakes. It forces you to accept that some decisions were wrong. Saying, "I made a wrong choice," is painful. Saying, "I didn't prepare enough," hurts pride. Saying, "I ignored the warning signs," feels embarrassing. These statements attack the ego, and the ego hates being challenged. That is why many people avoid learning and choose excuses instead. But excuses keep you stuck. They explain failure without improving you. Responsibility, on the other hand, gives you power. The moment you take responsibility, you take control. When you say, "This happened because of my choices," you also say, "I can choose differently next time." Responsibility shifts you from a passive victim to an active creator of your life. Honesty does not mean being harsh with yourself. It means being truthful. It means observing your actions calmly and clearly. It means asking, "What did I do wrong?" without self-hate. This kind of honesty is hard, but it is powerful. It opens the door to change. It turns failure into guidance instead of punishment. Failure only defeats people who refuse to learn from it. If you learn, failure becomes a stepping stone. If you refuse to learn, failure becomes a stopping point. Two people can fail in the same way, but only one grows. The difference is not intelligence or luck. The difference is honesty. When you stop blaming and start learning, failure loses its power to hurt you. It becomes a tool, and the moment failure becomes a tool, it can no longer control your future. Part 5. Failure builds emotional strength. Failure is one of the greatest teachers of emotional strength. When life is smooth and everything is going well, almost anyone can stay calm, positive, and confident. Success makes emotions easy to manage. But when plans collapse, when expectations break, and when effort does not bring results, emotions become difficult to control. In those moments, only strong minds remain steady. Failure is the training ground where this strength is built. Failure teaches emotional control by placing you in uncomfortable situations. It brings disappointment when things do not work out. It brings anger when effort feels wasted. It brings fear about the future and doubt about your abilities. These emotions rise naturally. Failure does not create them, it reveals them. And by facing these emotions again and again, you slowly learn how to handle them without being overwhelmed. One of the first lessons failure teaches is how to handle disappointment. Disappointment is painful because it comes from hope. When failure happens, hope feels broken. Over time, you learn that disappointment does not mean the end. You learn to accept the feeling without letting it destroy your motivation. This ability to accept disappointment calmly is a sign of emotional maturity. Failure also teaches you how to control anger. When things go wrong, anger often rises quickly. You may feel angry at yourself, at others, or at life itself. But repeated failure teaches you that anger does not solve problems. Calm thinking does. Slowly, you learn to pause instead of reacting. You learn to think before speaking. This control protects your relationships and your mental peace. Managing fear is another powerful lesson failure offers. Fear of trying again, fear of judgment, and fear of repeating mistakes can stop people from moving forward. But each time you fail and survive, fear becomes smaller. You realize that failure did not destroy you. This realization builds courage. Fear loses its control over your actions. Failure also trains patience under pressure. Growth takes time. Improvement takes effort. Failure reminds you that results are not instant. You learn to stay steady during uncertainty. You learn to trust the process even when outcomes are unclear. These emotional skills cannot be learned from books alone. They are learned through experience. Each failure makes you emotionally tougher. Each setback strengthens your ability to endure discomfort. Over time, failure stops scaring you. And when failure no longer controls your emotions, nothing in life can truly stop you. Part 6. Failure teaches you who you really are. Failure has a unique power. It reveals the truth about you. Success often creates comfort, and comfort can hide weaknesses. When things are going well, it is easy to believe that everything is fine. Weak habits remain unseen. Poor discipline stays unnoticed. But failure removes comfort. It pulls away the cover and shows what is really happening beneath the surface. When failure appears, it exposes areas you may have ignored for a long time. It shows where your discipline is weak. Maybe you were inconsistent. Maybe you relied on motivation instead of routine. Failure also reveals where your focus is scattered. It shows whether you were distracted, careless, or unclear about your goals. These truths are uncomfortable, but they are valuable. Failure also brings attention to confidence. It shows whether your confidence was real or borrowed. Real confidence survives mistakes. False confidence collapses after one failure. When failure happens, you discover how you talk to yourself, how quickly you give up, and how deeply you believe in your ability to improve. This self-awareness is powerful because it shows you exactly where growth is needed. Many people think failure is punishment. It is not. Failure is clarity. It gives you honest feedback without emotion. It does not insult you. It does not flatter you. It simply shows you the results of your actions. This clarity is rare in a world full of excuses and distractions. Failure cuts through illusion and brings you face to face with reality. Failure removes illusion in another important way. It breaks false stories you tell yourself. It challenges ideas like, I don't need discipline. I work best under pressure. Or, I will succeed without preparation. When failure arrives, these stories fall apart. What remains is truth. And truth, though painful, is the foundation of improvement. Only when you see reality clearly can you change it. Growth cannot happen in denial. Improvement cannot happen through excuses. Failure creates the awareness needed for real progress. It points directly to the areas that need work, not to shame you, but to guide you. Failure does not lie. It never hides facts. It shows results exactly as they are. If you listen carefully instead of reacting emotionally, failure becomes a guide. It tells you where to focus your energy and what to fix. In this way, failure becomes a mirror. And if you are brave enough to look into that mirror, you will discover not only who you are, but who you are capable of becoming.